Welcome to Bitcoin Fantasy. It's time to explore NFT games. In this video, we'll explain in more detail the ways to invest and how to make money in Soccerverse. It also covers other aspects such as transfers, coaches, shareholders, and other interesting things. There are several ways to invest. You could do so with the WCHI coin, but the easiest way would be to do so directly with the USDC stablecoin from the MATIC network. If you created the account with a wallet, you transfer the USDC to your own wallet from the MATIC network, as we repeat. If you created the account another way, with email, for example, you would have to log into your in-game account. Here, you will find your in-game wallet address and then transfer the USDC. Once you have the money in your in-game wallet, you have the option to buy shares in the club you want, or you can also buy SVC currency directly to become an owner or agent of the players. Or, if you want to add liquidity to your club for transfers, we'll explain these options in more detail below. We want to become shareholders in this Swedish team. We must evaluate several aspects to calculate how good our investment will be, whether we're looking for a return or if we want to create a competitive team to fight for league titles. The shares are from the silver package. They're still in the first batch. The batch is this small orange number we can see here. The first batch contains 10,000 shares. From the next batch onwards, each batch will contain 20,000, up to a maximum of 300,000 shares, which represents 30% of the total, the maximum allowed to purchase at this time. Let's suppose we decide to buy 2,000 shares in this club. In this case, that would be about $33. We'll now omit the extra shares we obtain from other clubs to keep these calculations simple, but those clubs represent more SVC tokens that we'll earn. Of all the income from each batch, the shareholders will receive 1%, divided according to the percentage of shares we hold. Please note that transfer fees and tournament prize money are not included in this calculation. Each team will play one home game and one away game against each team in the league. Obviously, home games receive higher revenue because they include the cost of fans' tickets, depending on the total number of fans and the capacity of the club's stadium. Let's do the math so you understand. This team is earning an average of 800,000 SVC tokens per home game. We have to divide this number by 100, and that would give us the percentage that all shareholders will receive for each game. Now we divide it by 1 million, which would be the total of the club's shares. This result would be, in SVC tokens, what we will earn for each share we have. We, who have 2,000 shares, would be receiving 16 SVC tokens after each game. Considering that it's a 20-team league, this means we'll play 19 games in our stadium. This would give a total at the end of the season of an average of 300 SVC just for games at our stadium. Let's also calculate the away games. Following the same formula explained above, this away team earns around 100,000. As you can see, they earn very little on the road, but this adds up to the total. We also have to add to the total the prize money for their league position, which would be considerably more. In each league, 10% of the team's prize money is distributed among the shareholders. In this case, the team received 1 million. We would have to divide it by 10, then divide it by 1 million and multiply it by 2,000, which would be our shares, and with this, we would be earning about 200 SVC in prize money. In this example, doing all the sums, we would earn around 550 SVC tokens per season, which is 6 months. We can go to the market and sell them for the other currency and later withdraw and convert them back into USDC in case we want to withdraw, or we can use the earned SVC to reinvest in the game. Now let's assume we want to be shareholders and manager at the same time. This is the most common. We can be shareholders of many teams, but we can only be manager of one. It happens that it is important to be aware of several situations. While it is true that we can delegate the manager functions to another person, we cannot do it with just anyone, because there are players who will sink the economy of our team, either due to lack of knowledge or even some will do it intentionally because they are allies of other clubs and want to take advantage of our finances, for example by signing very bad players for a very high price. or if they want to favor other teams in the same league by selecting disastrous lineups in each game to favor other teams in the division. Many times these supposed people are even multiple shareholder accounts of other clubs. Sometimes these characters are banned by the administration. But to avoid all that, the best thing is to find a trusted manager, friends, family, or if we want to make sure that the work is done as we want, the best way is to take the reins of the club ourselves. The club's finances are one of the most important things to assess. Poor management could bankrupt the team. A common thought among some newcomers is that the money shown here, in this case $800,000, is that this balance sheet is entirely dedicated to signings, and that's a mistake. This money should also be used to pay the players' salaries each match day. Ideally, we'd have a team that, both away and at home, earns more than it spends, and with that profit, we can pay the players' salaries and other expenses. We'd also need to get a little extra to accumulate and grow the economy. This doesn't always happen, especially in small teams with limited purchasing power. And we're likely going to lose money on away games, so we need to manage to ensure that the profit from home games is sufficient enough to offset the losses on the road, plus the players' salaries for the entire season. This can be a mathematical odyssey for some teams. We recently acquired our current club in the Japanese 2nd Division. All of the expenses for Season 1 weren't our fault. The team now has a matchday salary of $87,000, which is the number you see here on the right. Each player's salary depends on their rating, and their rating is a default number. We can't negotiate their contract. However, after each season, players' ranks are updated. Sometimes they stay the same, but most of the time, they either move up or down a rank. Their contract salary remains the same as the one we previously established. This means that ideally, if a player is going to move up a rank, we should sign a contract before the promotion. Once the player moves down a rank, we should lower their salary as soon as possible. Other issues also come into play here, such as player agents. They earn their salaries based on their player's salary. This means they will always want their players to earn more money. As managers, in this case, we would want to pay them as little as possible for the well-being of our own economy. That's an interesting question, but it also creates conflict if both parties don't agree. We'll discuss those issues later. To find out if a player is going to move up or down in the rankings next season, we have the following page, which we'll leave in the description. SoccerRatings.org. This tool is crucial. We can see the ranking projection of each player and thus know how to act at all times and avoid being scammed in the market, selling a player for $80 million for $20 million, when in reality that player's valuation will drop to $70 million or less. In addition, on this page we can analyze different statistics of the clubs, leagues, transfers, and more options that we will find. We can spend hours and hours searching for promising players. The topic of signings to strengthen your team. It has a rather peculiar system. They can enter the transfer market, and it will be open at any time during the season. The limit is that you can only buy and sell 7 players, a total of 14 per season. Transfers work with an auction system. From the start of the auction, you have 7 days until it ends. Teams make their offers, and at the end, the team with the highest offer will get the player. This system can be favorable if you're quick, but it's also a mystery. For example, this player, Vinicius Pereira. Forget that valuation you see on the screen, because his ranking was actually going to rise significantly next season. We knew this thanks to the tool we showed you earlier. We knew that the auction price of $500,000 was ridiculously low for his value, and many were waiting until the last second to make their offer. To test it, we made him an offer of $1.5 million at the last minute. We knew we were going to be outbid by a team with a bigger budget. And here, if you look at the final seconds, Deportivo La Coruña made an offer of $13 million and managed to sign the player. What we mean by this is that you shouldn't think that the price listed in the offers will be the final price. Most teams wait until the last minute and second to make their true final offer. With time and study, you'll learn the approximate real prices for each player. For example, we were able to secure this signing for around $1 million at the last second. In upcoming videos, we may cover how to become a shareholder and agent for a player, how much our earnings and payments will be, and the best way to find these promising young players of the future. For now, we'll wrap up this video. If all the information was useful to you now, you can click like, subscribe, and activate the bell so you don't miss upcoming free NFT games, airdrops, raffles, DeFi investments, and much more content that we work on daily. Write your comments below because we always read them. It is time to say goodbye, wishing you profitable investments or knowledge, and remember that if you have a Bitcoin fantasy, you should join us.